Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. It seems that my camera is frozen. So, hold on one second. I'm going to have to unplug my camera, and that means unplugging the microphone as well. So, just please give me 1 second, and I'll get that situation fixed. There we go. All right, that should be working. Now let's see if I can get the other camera back on. There we go. So, hope you're all having a wonderful day. It does sound like I might be getting a little sick. But you know what? Holidays, it happens. And it did it again. So, you know what? I'm just going to stay off camera because it seems that this. Well, okay, so I'm going to use my front camera for right now until I can actually get my other camera to work right because I'm not liking how it's going right now. Okay, so hopefully this will not freeze this time. So, welcome back. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. We're doing the weekly recap again. Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates Christmas. Happy holidays to anybody else. We're going to be discussing some Hollywood or some entertainment insanity. So, yeah, let's get into the first one, which is Predator comics. So, Predator comics, specifically two of them, have been censored by Disney and Marvel. Specifically by Marvel because Marvel runs the comics. However, Disney owns Marvel, so yeah, there is that. And the two comics that they are censoring is the one that's or are the two that one's labeled Demon's Gold, where the Germans of World War II went into a cave, found some gold, and also found a predator in it. And this predator starts slaughtering the Germans. Well, you'd think there isn't any problem with that, right? And it seems that we have frozen again. You know what, folks? Screw it. I'm just going to go back to my normal camera because this one apparently needs replacing. So we're going to use this one. Anyway, so yes, the predator is basically slaughtering the we'll call them Yahtzees to protect myself from the YouTube algorithm. And these people are evil in history. We all know that these people are evil. And yet Disney wanted to censor this comic, completely take it out of the omnibus that they are releasing. And they are not only releasing that one, or censoring that one rather, but they are also censoring another one in which takes place during the Civil War, in which you see a predator slaughtering Confederate soldiers. But they're saying that that one is not acceptable because there's racial terms used in it that were normal for the time period in which the story took place. They used the term Negra. Now, that's not technically the N word, and they also call a black person boy. So, yes, there is the use of these terms, which is accurate to the time. And yet they are saying, well, these are not allowed because, oh, this might upset some readers. And if you ask me, a predator slaughtering Confederates, slaughtering Yahtzees, where's the problem? Where is the problem, folks? I mean, I would honestly like somebody in the chat to tell me, where is this problem? You have a Yautja, the predator, and he is killing Yahtzees from World War II. He is killing, or another one is killing Confederates from the Civil War. And it seems that Marvel and Disney do not want these to be seen, oh, because it's insensitive. Actually, if you really think about it, considering how evil Disney is, they don't want to see evil killed. They actually want to protect evil. You know, this is the same company that wants to traffic kids, and they transfer people from one division to to another in order to protect them from the authorities. Yeah, after they've had intercourse with minors. Yeah, that's Disney for you. But I think it's absolutely disgusting that they are censoring this comic or these two specific stories, citing identity politics as a problem. You guys never had problems with identity politics before, you know, when you are giving a bunch of black people and people of color sloppy seconds on original characters. You never really had any problem. Okay, it seems that my camera just kind of conked out. There we go. Never had problems with these characters or handing POCs to sloppy seconds of original characters. You never had problem committing racism before with your weird family show on Disney Plus that basically says whiteness is a disease and evil. However, it's not so much the racism, it's the type of racism that they had a problem with. You see, when a predator is killing actual racists and degenerates and evil, they have a problem with it. I just find that really freaking nuts, because it tells me that they really don't want evil to be snuffed out of the world. It tells me that they would rather protect evil rather than see the destruction of evil. That's what it says to me, folks. And I think that that is truly disgusting. The two stories are called Demon's Gold and Hell's Come a Walkin'. And I think that these stories should be out for general consumption. And it should be up to the consumers to see whether or not these are worth buying. Just because one or two people complained that these might be insensitive, or possibly that might not even be it. It might even be that somebody who works there said, well, this might not be very culturally sensitive. And if I was in charge there, I would have said, you have a problem with a predator killing evil people? You have a problem with a predator slaughtering Confederate soldiers and destroying Yahtzees? I think that says a little bit more about you than it does about anybody else. You know? just some food for thought. So the next segment is, let's see here, Jonathan Majors. Now, I'm not doing any topics or articles, folks. I'm going over through memory here. So Jonathan Majors did some stupid stuff to his girlfriend. And even more foolish, he actually admitted it over text and threatened to self-delete himself if his girlfriend tried to leave him. And this man is all ego. Jonathan Majors, who played Kang the Conqueror and in other movies, well, yeah. He's like, I'm a really important man. I'm doing things for the culture. And the culture needs someone like me because otherwise they will suffer more. Now, obviously, he's talking about the fact that he's black and he's bringing fame to black culture. Except that the now, hey, Conroy Riker, glad you enjoyed that movie, buddy. And hello to Vanya and Merry Christmas to you. So, yeah, Jonathan Majors, unfortunately, is now famous for perpetuating a culture of domestic violence. And he has been found guilty, and he is now officially fired from Marvel, even though they pretty much soft fired him when the allegations came out. You know, kind of like what Warner Brothers did with Johnny Depp. Yeah. So now Majors may be doing some time in prison for putting hands on a woman. And no one should ever put their hands on a woman. I don't care who you are. If you put hands on a woman, you are a particular breed of scum that should never be allowed to walk the streets. However, if a woman puts their hands on you with the intent to seriously harm or kill, then you do have a right to defend yourself. Everybody has has a God-given right to self-defense. But yeah, Jonathan Majors actually admitted to harming this woman, his girlfriend. And so he's going to most likely do time. He's fired from Marvel. They're going to rewrite the Kang timeline, and apparently they are going to make Dr. Doom the big bad. Not that that matters. The MCU doesn't really matter to me anymore. I've stopped caring about the MCU after the Infinity Saga, and honestly, the Infinity Saga wasn't any much better at the end because it had a few movies that kind of fell short of the mark. Objective standard wise. Endgame being one of them. But yeah, I think that is absolutely insane that he would actually put, if you are a scumbag and you actually admit to something that is on a public record area that could be brought out to the public, why would on earth would you make it something like a text message? Those are things that are better discussed in person. But yeah, he was foolish and he did a crime, so he should do the time. Now, if Marvel and other studios had any sort of integrity, well, a lot more people would be blacklisted from Hollywood. I mean, Amber Turd, bed shitter extraordinaire, she's essentially blacklisted from Hollywood because of her abuse of Johnny Depp and her narcissistic lying on the stand. However, the damage was done against Johnny Depp. His reputation was ruined due to her lies and her abuse. And that is why I do not support Warner Brothers. I also don't employ or support Warner Brothers because they allowed Ezra Miller to cause chaos across 4 different countries, and well, then issue a fake apology. Yeah, the man is the bane of women. Ezra, woman's bane, I call it. He's one of those people who lives under the delusion of a non-binary lifestyle, which we all know that nature and gender is binary. You can be man, you can be woman, and you can also and there's the very rare occasion that you are both, which is a hermaphrodite. However, there is no opposite to both. There is no non-binary gender. Sex and gender are the same thing. Sex just also happens to have multiple definitions. Sex meaning sexual intercourse, and then sex meaning gender. And if people have a problem with that because they can't reconcile their own identities, that is a personal problem for you to figure out. I highly suggest you seek out psychological help. There are people who can help you reconcile your differences. However, I wouldn't recommend it nowadays because most of these psychologists seem to be more interested in actually enabling the delusion that is transgenderism and non-binaryism. But yeah, Jonathan Majors, man. He was a decent actor. He was actually a pretty good actor, in my opinion. However, dude was screwed up in the head, put hands on his woman. And therefore, yeah, he deserved to be fired. If you're going to harm innocent people, you deserve to be held to account. And if that woman is also guilty of abusing him and whatnot, then I believe she should also be held to account. However, we only know that he was the one found guilty of domestic abuse, and now he may be doing some jail time. So moving on to the next topic. We have the new Suicide Squad. Now, folks, this is all over Twitter and X. You can also look it up on websites. Pretty sure you'll find it. There is a video that shows Poison Ivy as a 9-year-old girl being reborn because apparently she died. And she's a 9-year-old girl. And Harley Quinn is coming on to her basically wanting to continue their relationship. Now, this Poison Ivy that looks 9 years old, or is a 9-year-old girl, looks disgusting. I mean, it looks like Greta Thunberg, which is pretty disgusting in its own right. However, it's the fact that an adult wants to have a sexual relationship with a child. Folks, I have warned you all years ago. I'm looking at the camera over here, but that's not the camera that's working. I should be looking at here. I warned you all years ago. And what I warned you was that if cuties was allowed to be normalized, if it was allowed to be defended to the degree it was, that they would start to introduce disgusting themes in entertainment. They would try to normalize sexual situations for children. And it starts with simple things like an adult hitting on a girl or on a child. It starts with loopholed themes like a fully grown woman with the child of with the brain of a child and the mind of a child becoming a nymphomaniac. It is all of these things that are subtle that they push, and yet it is still leading to a more disgusting narrative. Eventually, they will want to normalize pedophilia. And you all may think, oh, you're over exaggerating. You are you're talking shit because you don't like Hollywood's direction. You're darn right I don't like Hollywood's direction. That does not mean I am exaggerating. I have seen the signs early on, and I have tried to warn people of them. Unfortunately, you all did not want to see the truth. I'm not talking about my viewers. I am talking about the people who I tried warning ahead of time. Parents out there who continue to take their children to Disney movies and who continue to expose their children to the disgusting nature that is Hollywood. You all decided to ignore me, even when I told you this was going to get worse. And instead of using your own voice to speak out against it, you instead enabled it. So yeah, it is pretty sad that Hollywood is going to continue down the road to pedophilia. Eventually, folks, maybe a few years from now, they might actually start putting children on screen with other children depicting sexual situations. They might actually go down that road unless we do something about it. Do you really want to expose your children to that? Do you want your children to be looking at something like Cocomelon, a show that is for kids to learn ABCs and stuff, and see two gay dads putting their son in a tutu? That is also something that's been happening. Cocomelon, I am so glad that my young niece is no longer watching that, because she would have been exposed to that. And my brother, God bless that man, I let him know, and yeah, he's definitely moving them away from that. But yeah, then there's the this Suicide Squad game, and it shows a 9-year-old girl, Poison Ivy, wanting to get into a relationship with Harley Quinn, and Harley Quinn wants to be in a relationship with Ivy. So yeah, folks, when are y'all going to wake up? When are y'all going to start speaking out? When are you going to when are you going to say enough is enough? When there's actual child porn in movies for general consumption? When they start showing children and adults having sex with each other in movies for general consumption? Because believe me, if you don't speak up, that's going to happen. Eventually, it is going to happen. They are already trying to lax laws in our country that make pedophilia allowable. Look at California and some of the laws they have passed, where men are allowed to sodomize underage boys if it is consensual, and they will not be prosecuted. Yeah, that's an actual law they passed over in California. And it's because of things like this. And it's things like Cuties. And it's things like Cocomelon. And it's things like those books that they are trying to push on kids in schools that show actual pornography. Yeah. And yet, well, I was a younger channel, a smaller channel, and I was discussing some of the most important things of our time, protecting our children. And unfortunately, my following was not big enough. I do not blame anyone but myself, to be completely honest. However, those of you who I did warn and who also didn't spread the message, well, look how worse it has gotten now. They can work around that saying they're just using AI so no kids were hurt. Yeah, they can. And that is unfortunately something that should also be done or done away with. That is a bullshit excuse. And hello to you, Janet from another planet. Merry Christmas. I wonder if parody, ridicule, outrage culture has gone so far as to keep James Gunn in power like it's or like its own nerdy section of the media algorithm. James Gunn, Conroy. James Gunn. I will never support his DC universe. That man is a pedophile. He fantasizes about sexual intercourse with children. He joked about it all over Twitter. He eventually got suspended from Twitter and fired from Disney, but they hired him back because they realized, oh, he's such a great director. And unfortunately, Chris Pratt, in his non-infinite wisdom, stuck up for him. He also hosted a pedophile-themed party. Yeah. This man hosted a party that was themed around pedophiles wanting to have disgusting relationships with children. And people want to praise his work. People want to say, oh, well, technically he is a good director and whatnot. I don't give a fuck about the quality of his film. I haven't watched Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 since the MCU Sundays that I did earlier this year. And I won't watch them anymore. I do not support James Gunn in any shape, way, or form, nor will I. I don't care if he is the best director in Hollywood. That man deserves to be put in a mental institution. The key needs to be thrown away, and he needs to never be allowed to be near children. He is a disgusting freak, as are all pedophiles. This whole using artwork and AI to depict children, and then using a disclaimer saying, while they may look young, they are technically above the age of 18. No, not acceptable. That sort of stuff is absolutely disgusting. And I think that there needs to be laws put in place in the United States, and people need to be doing some deep investigations into finding people who support this stuff and investigating them, because they are a potential threat to society. So yeah, I think that this Suicide Squad game is disgusting. However, there's going to be people who will buy it. They'll do their consumption of it. They'll buy it. They'll play it themselves. They'll see what's what. And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is you will be supporting it. You will be supporting a product that promotes adult relationships with children. Do you really want to put your money towards that? I don't care. Or if you're a gamer, do you really want to support that? Because if you put your money toward it, that is exactly what you're doing. There comes a time when people need to say enough is enough. There comes a time when people need to actually start talking with their wallets. Yeah, it may sacrifice some of your precious content. But what does that say about you when you sacrifice your integrity? You want things to change, but you continue to support the stuff that is changing it for the worst. I mean, it's kind of like what Ultron said in Age of Ultron. You want things to change, but you keep on fighting for the same cause. Or you want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change. Well, yeah, you don't want things, or things are changing for the worst, and you're just buying these video games to consume, play, enjoy yourselves, make some content, except that you put money towards a cause that is causing child abuse, potentially down the road. So yeah, that kind of stuff is disgusting. And I think that people who have no integrity, who want to speak out against all of this stuff, and then buy this shit when it comes out on sale or whatever, yeah, you are a problem. You are the problem. Now, the next topic, speaking of MCU stuff, this is our final topic for the night, and it's going to be a little bit longer too. The MCU's Infinity Saga always had strong women from the start, and I'm hoping Bounding will actually get a hold of this, maybe make a article out of it. Who knows? But I've noticed they've actually stepped away from that, where they are promoting YouTubers and whatnot. But yeah, a lot of people, and even some of the women in the MCU, are saying that, oh, women have been underrepresented and whatnot. And so the MCU has turned towards women protagonists, and they did it all in the wrong way, and a lot of that content has suffered due to it. Well, what if I told you that the MCU always had actual strong female characters, and people just didn't notice? Look, or some of us did, obviously, but some people may not have, including the very actors and actresses that portrayed these characters. Gwyneth Paltrow thinks that all women are so underrepresented, underpaid, and all that shit, when she was literally the hero of Iron Man. Yeah. Pepper Potts pushed the button to overload the arc reactor, saving Tony Stark's life and killing Obadiah Stane. Yeah. It was the fact that she also kept his Mark I chest piece, that miniaturized arc reactor that he built in the cave. Her keeping it allowed him to save her life, essentially. Her choices helped Tony Stark become a better man. And the Incredible Hulk, Betty, a lot of people say that, oh my God, her role was so minor. Just because a person has such a minor role in a film does not make it any less important. She helped the Hulk be more, or get stronger to face down the Abomination. She helped Bruce learn to keep the rage at bay. She helped him become a better character. When she was in danger and the Hulk cared for Betty, her being in danger allowed the Hulk to channel his rage and become stronger. So if it wasn't for Betty, the Hulk would have died against the Abomination. If it wasn't for Betty, he would have slaughtered the U.S. military even further at Culver University. If it wasn't for Betty, the Hulk would have remained a savage beast and continued to harm innocents. I'm sorry, but if you ask me, that's actually a pretty important thing that Betty contributed to the MCU. So yeah, then there was Iron Man 2 with the introduction to Natasha Romanoff, where also we have a return of another strong woman, which was Pepper Potts. How she was made CEO to help run the company of Stark Industries. She was the one responsible for Hammer Industries going under when Hammer Industries was looking to usurp the U.S. military, and also put Russian slaved drones in the military. So yeah, you also have Black Widow, strong female character who went in to take care of the threat at Hammer Industries. And if it wasn't for them, well, Tony Stark would be dead. Yeah, Tony Stark would have died in Iron Man 2 if it wasn't for Natalia Romanoff. Not just them finding a treatment for the palladium poisoning, but for the fact that she also was able to hack into Rhodey's suit and reboot it. Because, yeah, War Machine's suit was pretty close to having his minigun pop in the helmet of Stark. Yeah, just saying. Then we come to Thor. And I will go movie by movie if I have to drive this point home, folks. Thor was a warmonger. He thrived on battle. He never learned humility. All he cared about was becoming king of Asgard, making empty promises to his father during his coronation, mind you. Do you swear to protect the innocent? I swear. Do you swear to cast aside all vain ambition and pledge yourself only to the good of the realms? I swear. Do you swear to protect the peace? I swear. Yeah, he made all those promises, and yet he wants to wage war in order to keep the peace. Now, while there is that very famous Latin phrase, civis pacem para bellum, if you want peace, prepare for war, his father recognized he was not ready. You are thinking only as a warrior. This was not an act of war. This was the act of a few, doomed to fail. And so he exiled his son to Midgard, to Earth, until he was worthy again to return home with Mjolnir. He placed a decree on Mjolnir and then brought it back. Hey, Enviro Earth, hello there. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for stopping by. And so Jane Foster, who he meets and who he learns from, and he helps her in turn, but she helps him in a far greater way. She allows him to see that it isn't just about fighting. It isn't just about war. Being king is also about humility, learning to care for others, not just oneself. And it was through a selfless act where he stood against his brother and allowed himself to be put in mortal danger, a true mark of a king, that allowed him to become worthy again. And then he would return to Asgard, and the rest is history. Well, then we get to Captain America. While Steve has always been a humble individual, it was because of Peggy Carter, Abraham Erskine, and others that kept him grounded. It was because of Peggy Carter helping him after he received the serum that he would go on to save countless lives. If it wasn't for Peggy, James Barnes would have been a traitor to the country before he became a hero to the country again. If it wasn't for Peggy, Steve wouldn't have had that small comfort before he went into the ice, where they embraced their feelings for each other. If it wasn't for Peggy, well, he wouldn't have been able to come back to the United or out of the ice into a world where he could serve again. So yeah, Peggy becoming a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. helped Steve Rogers while he was in ice and even afterwards. Her actions as an agent of the SSR, the Strategic Science Reserve, and then her actions as a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. helped Steve Rogers in the end. So then we get to Avengers. Well, if it wasn't for Natalia Romanoff, well, the Earth would have been screwed, because she was the one that closed the portal. Yeah, she was the one that closed the portal. So, I mean, there was all that other stuff too that she also contributed to. She also contributed to fighting against the Chitauri. She waged a war, even though she is a spy, not a soldier. She went well beyond the call of duty in order to do all of this. So she also managed to take the Hulk's rampage for a few seconds. Gotta admit, that's pretty good. Iron Man 3. If it wasn't for Rebecca Hall's character at the last moment, allowing a little bit more time to pass for Stark to get his armor back, well, he would have died there. If it wasn't for Pepper Potts, well, he would have died again because she's the one that actually killed the Mandarin. Yeah, she's the one that actually killed the Mandarin. So, it was also the fact that she was basically Tony's. She was Tony's rock, so to speak. She was Tony's heart. And therefore, yeah, she allowed him to be better than what he was. She also helped him with his PTSD. Also, so did the kid. So shout out to the kid too, Harley. We then get to Thor 2, where Jane managed to come up with ideas to use the convergence against the Dark Elves. If it wasn't for her innovations and that of the rest of them, Thor would have failed and died. So yeah, if it also wasn't for Sif, the Einherjar wouldn't have been held back for a long bit. Sif was also instrumental in the Battle of Vanaheim. So yeah, Captain America 2, the Winter Soldier. Well, Natasha managed to get the files from the Lumerian Star, get it to Fury, and Fury realized something was going on. If it wasn't for her, they would never have figured it out. If it wasn't for her, the Hydra or the World Security Council, well, they did die, unfortunately, but she also did help stop Pierce, who was the head of Hydra at the time. She also helped Steve against the Winter Soldier and gave him the insight he needed about the Winter Soldier. So yeah, there's that. Plus there's also Maria Hill, who is also in Avengers as well as in Winter Soldier, where she helped keep Hydra forces at bay. Also, you have Agent 13, Margaret Carter, who was watching Captain America, keeping him safe. So yeah, strong women have been throughout the first phases of Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy. You have Gamora, who is a strong female character. You have Nebula, who's strong in her own right, but she also has character growth. Now, yes, those are James Gunn movies, but still, it changes nothing in the fact that their characters were strong female characters, and yet they were also able to grow emotionally and care and even fall in love with, well, in Gamora's case, fall in love with Peter Quill. Avengers Infinity War, or not Infinity War, but Age of Ultron. You have Scarlet Witch, Wanda. You have the Korean Doctor. You also have Black Widow. If it wasn't for the Korean Doctor, Barton would have not been able to get healed well enough. He would have been a treasured memory. If it wasn't for Wanda, the people in Korea would have had a lot of people dead if she hadn't stopped that train. If it wasn't for Wanda, they wouldn't have evacuated as many people out of Wakanda, out of Sokovia as they did. And if it wasn't for Wanda, well, there are a lot of the drones or the Ultron drones would have gotten away or would have dropped Sokovia a lot quicker. So yeah, there's a lot of strong female characters. I mean, Ant-Man. A lot of people are probably going to say it's Hope Van Dyne who was the strong female character. No, it was actually Cassie. Cassie, Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie Lang, is the strong female in Ant-Man. And here's why, folks. As I said, a small character can have the biggest impact on the story. And she is no exception. It was her talking to him, her comforting him, and her being in danger, yes, that allowed him to become a better person. That allowed a criminal, Scott Lang, to become a greater person. And also, it was him hearing her when he was in the infinite shrinkage of the quantum realm that allowed him to break out of the quantum realm. So, yeah, you have that as well. Civil War. If it wasn't for Agent 13, well, Bucky Barnes would probably have killed a bunch of people where the cops went to arrest him, and he would have probably gotten himself killed if it wasn't for her. If it wasn't for Black Widow trying to talk some sense into all of them. If it wasn't for Wanda, certain people would have also been killed in that movie as well. Hello, Stig. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. And Vader fan Vic, how are you? Fanatic, good to see you. So then we come to Doctor Strange. Well, Doctor Strange, if it wasn't for his female counterpart in the medical industry, he would have lost he would have become way too egotistical. He always held on to Christine even when she broke up with him. If it wasn't for her, he also would have lost hope a lot sooner. Christine helped him become a better person because she was always on his mind. She also did this life-saving surgery when he was doing his astral battle with Scott Adkins. If it wasn't for her, he'd be dead. So yeah, there's that. If it wasn't for the Ancient One in this movie, who was a female, he wouldn't have learned the lessons he needed to become a better wizard, to become a better sorcerer. So yeah, there was that as well. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, obviously, if it wasn't for Peter Quill's mother and the memory of his mother, he wouldn't have been able to break out of his father's control when his father was going to use him as a battery. So if it wasn't for the love of Gamora, yeah, if it wasn't for Nebula in a couple of instances, and also, if it wasn't for Mantis, they would have all been dead. The women have more important value in these movies than people are giving them credit for. Than all these woke losers, including some of the actresses themselves, give them credit for. You have Spider-Man. If it wasn't for a female AI, Karen, Spider-Man wouldn't have gotten some of the well-needed advice. If it wasn't for MJ or letting him know that there were people up in the Washington Monument who needed help. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a raging teenage hormonal hard-on for the Vulture's daughter, he wouldn't have been able to become a better hero. So, yeah. Also, if it wasn't for his Aunt May, he wouldn't have learned in the MCU the lesson of with great power comes great responsibility. We then come to Thor Ragnarok, where Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie, if it wasn't for her, they never would have gotten as far as they did. So yes, there are all these different cases. Black Panther had his sister helping him. Black Panther also had his mother helping him. You have Infinity War, where all of these female characters came out to help and do stuff. Then you had Ant-Man and the Wasp, which had, or if it wasn't for Hope, pretty sure Scott would have died in a few areas. I mean, there are so many, or all of these cases had strong female characters throughout. Yes, they weren't the lead, but they were still support, and they were the most important support. When they were doing all of these movies, they had all this in mind, and yet people were still saying, well, they didn't have a strong female hero lead. Well, then we get Captain Marvel, and we get the entirely wrong message of what makes a female character strong. We get this broken down, emotionless fool who basically has to be humbled by men in order to become a better person. And even then, she's still unlikable. So yeah, that's where they started screwing it up. But if you look at most of the Infinity Saga, from Iron Man to Black Panther, where all the singular movies had strong female characters, and you realize that their actions impacted the story in such a way that was very significant, meaning life or death for some people, then what do all these people really have to complain about? Not a damn thing. The MCU has always had strong female characters from the beginning, except that people were not satisfied with it. And that is why all of this that's going on today, where they have all these strong female characters, which I actually call weak female characters. She-Hulk, the A-Force team that they have coming out, they're not strong. They haven't had that heroic journey that they need to become better than what they were. There is no hero's journey for them. They're already the best. I'm sorry, but they need to be brought down lower to become even better than what they used to be. And they don't have that. So yes, folks, that's going to be the video. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Hello, happy Dinosaur 8000. Merry Christmas to you as well. All of you have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you to Stieg, the Vader Fanatic, Happy Dino, Enviro Earth, Conroy Riker, Jenna from Another Planet, and Vanya. You guys were freaking awesome. Thank you for sticking out to the end. I will do another weekly recap next week. Tuesday, December 26th, I am doing the Is Rambo First Blood a Christmas movie analysis? So I will be giving a definitive answer there. And Wednesday, I will be on Mara Jade's channel, or Jade Shadow, discussing Gremlins 2. And then we will be discussing Violent Night on Thursday night on my channel. So thank you all for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful Christmas and a happy holidays. This has been Orange Hat. Stay humble.